Joining us now, former federal prosecutor Jim Trusty. It's great to have you back on, sir. We love your insights on this. As a nation, do you feel like this case could be a hinge point, that the nation for the first time is going to see how bad Hillary's Trump-Russia was?
I think they're going to get a flavor of it, but not a full taste. I mean, the bottom line is this judge has made it clear in the pretrial rulings on pretrial motions that he doesn't want the case to go too far afield from the false statement. I mean, the emphasis here is what Sussman did when he went to his friend at the FBI and misled him as to whether he was representing a client. That necessarily we want to know all these rabbit holes, right? We want to run down them and find out where's the investigation when it comes to Hillary. Are there other people from Perkins Coie that are in harm's way? Is the FBI leadership in harm's way? I think this judge is going to keep that bottled up. So we'll get a little bit of a taste, but we won't get a ton of it. Although there's one issue, which is the defense can open the door a little bit by challenging the materiality of the false statement. So we'll have to wait and see, but I think the judge's instincts are pretty typical of a gatekeeper of a judge to keep some of the extraneous stuff out, which means we don't get to hear the full story.
You know, so Durham's top attorney, John Durham's prosecutor, Andrew DeFilippis, says he's saying that Hillary's strategy was to create news, this false Trump-Russia that's been debunked by Mueller and Mueller report. Mueller did have a lot of crimes that were charged, but not collusion. And so create this, get the government to investigate it, then leak that to the media. We know that already a number of people are going to be pleading the fifth. I think a number of FBI officials, CIA officials, Jim, are going to take the stand, the witness stand. Could this trial lay out a roadmap for a future charge involving conspiracy? Could Durham pick up anything that is said at trial and use that for a later charge?
Well, he could, but I don't think you're going to have like the biggest targets testifying in this trial. You're not going to have Hillary or Comey or McCabe. But I want to step back to one thing you just characterized, which I think is just the whole story in a nutshell. This was shopping a false story. This is not opposition research. This is creating a false story, shopping it to law enforcement, and then circling back to the media and announcing, hey, this is real because the FBI is looking at it. So it really is a historic low in the American political system to have a campaign do something as slanderous as this, as intentional, as willful, premeditated, whatever word you want to use, to try to win an election. And again, I hope people will pay attention to it. Although, again, I don't think we're going to get the full flavor. We're just going to get little bits of taste in terms of what Hillary and other people's involvement might have been.
So we know that, you know, John Durham has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt criminal intent for lying to the FBI. There's enough probative evidence, he feels, to charge and get basically a guilty verdict for Michael Sussman. What we were just talking about, the conspiracy to defraud the government, basically, essentially in the end, defraud the American people on the part of the Hillary team. There are nearly 330 FBI emails that show FBI officials did understand that Michael Sussman's clients were Democrats. So this is about Hillary misdirecting the FBI. And so that's where that's what the nation is now waking up to, it seems, when you see the coverage of this. So I know that James Comey and the top players, as you point out, will not be called. Are we going to see anything else beyond the Igor Danchenko trial in October? Because he's also charged with lying to the FBI by Special Counsel Durham.
Right. I think Danchenko is a little bit downstream from Sussman. I think Sussman's actually kind of a higher perch or a higher connection to Hillary Rodham Clinton and her campaign. Look, you know, one of the best things that Attorney General Barr did in office was to give special counsel status to John Durham. That means at the end of the day, when Durham thinks he's wrapped it up, he's either speaking through an indictment of people in high positions or he's writing a memo that explains why it's not there. And as we've said on this show a couple times, Liz, then there's the big integrity test for the Attorney General as to how he reacts to that information.
Got it. Jim Trusty, always a pleasure. Come back soon.